Hello, cosmic beings. Welcome to Being Cosmic. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I am so glad that each and every one of you are here. My name is Devon, and I will be doing a collective message today. So, with that, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Alrighty. So, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support on the channel. The likes, shares, comments, subscribes, and the donations all really do help out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And okay, right before I hit record, I started thinking about the moon phase. So there's a new moon. If you're watching this when I post this, there's a new moon on Friday, the 17th April. Um and if you're not watching it, right after I post it, it's just an energy thing that's coming through on this reading. So they're all timeless. So whenever you find it, it's meant for you. So just know that. But if you're watching this shortly after I post it, we're coming up on a new moon, or yeah, a new moon. Um, is it in Aries? I know I'm more of an amateur astrologist at this point. But there's definitely a lot going on astrologically right now. It's very intense. We're actually experiencing something astrologically that is like a once in a lifetime thing. And it's the ability to have a full reset, like a full life reset almost. And you've been preparing for it, especially if you resonate with this content. You've been preparing for this, even subconsciously for a while. So just know that. But if all of a sudden you're getting the inspiration and like, okay, all the blocks are released, all the obstacles are released, it's time to move, it's time to do this thing. Listen to that because it's astrologically, you're astrologically being helped with that right now as well. So you might be being called to look into your astrology a little deeper. I tried the Astra app. No shade, it just didn't resonate with me. The one that I personally use that's really good, it's called the Pattern. So it's Pattern. And it's they've got a free option and a paid option. I'm not affiliated with them yet, maybe soon. But I just have the free version and it's really, really helpful. It talks about like different cycles and stuff that you're going through. And then it's also cool because if you have friends or family members that are on the app, you can run a bond between you and see different dynamics, stuff like that. But then it will pop up with stuff like, hey, your friend so and so is going through this right now. And sometimes I'll like screenshot it and send it to one of my friends, like, hey, this just came up, just a heads up. And they're like, oh, that's really cool because it's like a little bit different. It's worded a little bit differently than when you look at your own timing stuff. So it can be really helpful. And it's also, especially like if you're in a romantic relationship, it's really, really helpful because it's really kind of nice to know if your spouse or your significant other is going through, a Saturn return or something major. Like it's helpful. And then it can just kind of help like, okay, you're going through a cycle. That's why everything's unclear. You don't know what you want to do, so on and so forth. It just kind of gives a different perspective. So I would highly recommend it. Anyways, so a whole little random tangent on astrology. So let's see what the message for you is today. What's going on with the collective? All right. Oh, interesting. Okay. So it says, no, you are safe and held. And so this is the energy of like getting grounded, knowing that you are safe in your body, in your environment. Um, and on the planet right now. There's so much fear being pumped into the mainstream. So this is really, really talking about switching your perspective and knowing that you are safe. You are held by divine forces, whatever you work with. And then we've got the council. And this is talking about a council of, I think it's 12 beings that really are assisting humanity right now. There's also something coming through about the Akashic records. So that could be significant. Maybe you've done an Akashic record reading or something like that. Maybe you're accessing the Akashic records. Yeah. So ultimately, it's really what's really coming through is like you have a lot of divine support right now, a lot of extra assistance in the ethers, in the spirit realm. Yeah, by the universe. You are, you're supported by the universe. That's really funny. Um, yeah, like you are supported. You are, I feel like you're going through a kind of a challenging cycle. Or maybe you're just coming out of a challenging cycle. And so I feel like this really is coming through to let you know that, like, one, good job. You're doing it. You got this. You're supported. And really to come through with that extra just awareness of how much you are supported. A lot of us on this journey don't realize how much we are supported for a while. So yeah, I feel like this is just coming through to let you know that you are very, very supported. Okay. Flip through this one. Okay, we've got the garden. So, how is your inner garden growing? Ooh. So you could be working on things like removing limiting beliefs, pulling out of lack mentality, really doing that like inner work on weeding out things that are no longer serving. Um, and for some of you, you could be literally planting a garden, and that's just extra confirmation. Especially if you're planting a garden while listening to this, or before, or after, like the same day or that weekend or whatever. Um, Yeah, I'm being reminded it was a quote that I saw. I don't know who said it, but basically it was something along the lines of I asked a gardener how he got his plants to grow so big and beautifully, and the response was I remove what stops their growth. And so it's kind of like if you take that in, metaphorically think metaphorically apply it to kind of that internal talk, which has been coming up a lot in these messages right now. um it's rechanging it's changing the internal voice. It's paying attention to a different narrative in your own mind. It's not listening as much to the critic side of things and allowing that to get quieter and quieter and picking other more positive, uplifting inner thoughts. And so it's kind of that energy of like removing those limiting beliefs, removing those programs that don't work anymore, those subconscious programs that you picked up over life at some point and you're like, this isn't actually for my highest good. This is a limiting belief. This is a lack mentality. This is generational shit. This isn't mine. And I'm no longer going to allow that to grow in my internal garden. So that's huge. That's really, really big work, by the way. I mean, that's like the meat of a lot of inner work. Your entire life will change if you continue to do that, which I feel like you are. I feel like you're already starting to see some of the evidence of it as well. And it could even be just like, oh, normally I would have been really triggered in that situation, but I wasn't this time. Those little things, that's confirmation for you to show that you are changing, you are growing, you are evolving, you are becoming your greatest version, which is, it's a continuous thing, it's a daily thing. So, and not it's not a perfect thing, it's a spiral. So just know that too. It's not linear. It phases and cycles. But okay, anyways, interesting. So I was talking about phases and cycles, and the next card is the spinning wheel, and there's a big wheel right there, and I was just my eyes were drawn to it right away. And so yeah, there's also something about the wheel of karma turning in your favor right now. Okay, can you spin straw into gold? Hey, this is really reminding me of energetic alchemy. So this is taking, yeah, I mean that's ultimately what it is. It's taking all of this ugh energy, lower vibrational energy, and changing it into a higher vibrational energy. And so it's yeah, I mean it's energetic alchemy. And a lot of people, especially on the spiritual path, do this without fully realizing it for a while. So you could be doing this and not fully realizing that that's what you're doing, but you literally hit a point where you start alchemizing this energy. And so when negative stuff comes your way, you are processing it and doing something different with it. So it transmutes the energy and changes the form of it, basically. Um, it's kind of that concept of you can either continue with those generational traumas and cycles and pass it on to the next generation, or you can stop and you can heal that stuff and then change it from that point forward. That's energetic alchemy. Um, which I feel like you've been doing, which is again, huzzah. It's good. It's good stuff. It's hard, but it's good and it's worth it. Will o' the Wisp. Will you follow foolish fire or your heart's true knowing? Interesting. So, okay, I'm being called to talk about this. So, right before I recorded, I got insight for another message that wants to come through, and it's talking about two different paths. So, this collective, if you've been watching this if you've been watching this for a while, or even if you're resonating with this now, there's this energy of two different paths that you have an option for. It's like you become aware of another path, and it's you're energetically ready to shift onto this other path if you choose to do it. And so I was called to do a kind of a deep dive to see like, okay, if you do this path, what does that look like? If you take this path, what does that look like? And that kind of thing has been coming up over the past little bit in the readings, but I was guided to do an actual message where I intentionally deep dive into it to really kind of shed some light on both the paths. And this is really really reminding me of that. So there's um yeah, this is so if you're resonating with this message, keep your eye out. It's I'm going to put something in the title of like two different pathways or something like that. Um anyways, but there's definitely an overlap here because right when I read that, I thought of that message, and it's kind of the heart versus the head path. And I feel like you're really kind of at this point where you're being pulled to the heart path, but you're not fully sure. You're still kind of locked in some way, but you want to go to this other path, but you're not quite allowing yourself to do so. And so it's this internal struggle, this pull back and forth. And that could be where a lot of like sorting through these limiting beliefs and, healing some of this inner stuff, shadow work, um, like trauma therapy, all of that kind of thing, that really plays a huge factor. Because if your heart's really wounded and you've got it closed off, it's hard to follow your heart. And so that's where healing and doing a lot of that internal work really is helpful because then when you're coming from more of a healed, open heart space, and then you follow that guidance, it's just different. That's manifestation gold is what I just heard. But it really is. There's a way to manifest with the mind and using the mind energy, and then there's a way to manifest using heart-led energy. And heart-led energy, it's way more powerful. it's quicker, it's like the shortcut, but it takes a lot longer, especially, with healing old wounds and things like that. It takes longer to access it, and we're not trained or taught how to access it really. And so, it's like unlearning how to manifest with the mind and then tapping into how to manifest with the heart. Um and I feel like that's the process you're in right now, is unraveling that. And right when I was saying that, I saw the spinning wheel with like the threads. And so it's like, yeah, you're in that process of energetic alchemy, of healing some of these things, of turning your past stuff, trauma, wounds, just whatever it is, but all that past stuff that you are no longer okay with, because now you see that there is a completely different option for you. Now you're in that process of like, okay, how do I get there? And as long as you're committed to getting there, you're going to continue to get the guidance on what to do to get there. Um, and I feel like that's a big part of this message too, is to let you know that you are getting the guidance. And sometimes the guidance doesn't make sense at first. But when you follow the guidance that you're getting from your divine team and whatever you work with, hindsight's 2020. It's the clarity comes later. So sometimes you'll be guided to do something that doesn't really make sense, but you follow that guidance anyways, and then you look back and you're like, "Oh, damn, that's why. Okay, if I wouldn't have done that, I would have went this way. But because I did that, I'm over here. Like that was a lot quicker of a way to this other path." So just keep that in mind. Okay. Well, with that, yeah, I feel like I'm at the point where I'm just going to keep rambling. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. I hope this message helps. Keep going. You got this. It's worth it. I can assure you it is totally worth it. So keep going. You got this. You're more supported than you realize. Tap into that support. Stay grounded. Go put your feet on the earth. Or do whatever grounding techniques you do. Um, and yeah, just keep on doing it. It's gonna be worth it. It already is. Just so you know. If you're not physically seeing results yet, they're coming. So just know that. This work, it's an inside out process. And so give yourself kind of grace and time to see some of those results and acknowledge those little things when they come up. Kind of like that scenario earlier where, you were at, maybe you're at the store and somebody said something, and normally you would have been, triggered or pissed off or said something back and, you know, kind of engaged. And then this time you were just like, okay, cool, whatever. And then, one of those like, apparently this person's just having a bad day. Doesn't have anything to do with me. It's totally fine. I'm gonna, check out with my groceries and head on home. It's not a big deal. And then later, you might think about it and be like, oh, wow, I normally would have reacted this way, but this time I responded and didn't engage. Those little things, those are your confirmations that you are making changes. And those little things add up big time. So make sure you're giving yourself that credit. Give yourself the credit where it's due, because this is hard work, and this is work that people from the outside who have not done this work don't understand what it takes and how freaking hard it can be. So just make sure you're, giving yourself a pat on the back. This is good stuff. So, okay. Well, with that, I'm officially going to leave it here. So, yes, I hope this helps. Wishing you all the best. Feel free to hit that like button. It does help out the channel, so thank you. And if you would like to see more from me, you can hit subscribe. It is free. And I will see you on the next message. Bye.